Welcome everyone, Farmer Cop here. This is going to be a guide on how to care for goats and everything you need to know about goats in Farming Simulator 25. So goats are one of the new animals coming to the game, yeah, we're going to go and take a look at how to care for them. Now this is an early access version of the game that I'm playing on, so a couple things might be a touch different, but I don't really actually expect anything to really be different with the goats at all. And everything we're going to do here is going to apply to both PC and for all platforms. So if you're on console, this will also apply to you, I should note as well, since I'm just using the base game. And with that as well, I am using the base game on a base game map. So if you notice the food types are different or anything like that is different, it might be because you're on a modded map. So just be aware that if that is the case, make sure you adjust to those changes. But as long as you're not playing on a modded map, you're on a base game map, everything I'm going to talk about today should apply to you. And even if you aren't a modded map, most modded maps keep the same animal feed systems in place. So that should work just fine as well. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive into it. So first off, if we have some goats that we want to put down or we want to have and raise, we need to make a goat pasture for them. So there's not one built into the map somewhere, which I don't think there is on any of the base game maps. There might be in a modded map in the future, but if we don't have one already built in, we need to place one. So we need to go into the build mode, which on PC is Shift P, and then we need to go to the animals here. We need to scroll from cows to horses to pigs and then over to sheep. Now, yeah, those are sheep pens, but we're supposed to be talking about goats, right? You're very correct about that. Goats and sheep share the same pen type, so these will also work for goats. There's no goat type of pen in here, so don't be looking for that. Now, there's 4 base games, so we're going to talk about all of those real quick here. So first off, we have just a sheep pasture, which the main difference with a pasture compared to a barn is you have to provide them water in the barn, which I'll show you how to do that. And then the the pasture, water needs to be provided. The barns, no water is provided there, so you can see down there. Now, they each have a different capacity. This one holds 19, this one holds 26, this one also holds 26 and 68. So a couple different capacities there for those. However, those don't really matter if you do a custom pasture. So if you don't know, in Farming Simulator 25, we have custom pastures that you can build and grazing. And if you want to learn more about that, I have a dedicated video to that because there's quite a bit to it, but we're just going to go for it here. So I'm going to place down a pasture to start just over here. So I'm going to place this down right there. Now you can say, do you want to customize the fence? If I hit yes, it'll allow me to build a custom fence, which is basically a custom pasture. Now I will say it looks like it's letting me go across here like that. You're not going to want to do that. So I'm going to delete that segment by hitting H. You don't want to cover up this area right here where these hexagons or these go. Gosh, I did it again. Nope. Oh. H delete. There we go. You don't want to cover up this space because we're going to need that to be open, and I'll show you guys why in a minute. So let's just go ahead and we'll make it, I don't know, we can make it any kind of weird shape. Let's say you had something built there that you had to work around. You can work around it. I'll go down here. Say I want them to be able to look out at the road because my sheep like traffic, or my goats like traffic, whatever the case may be. So we can do whatever you'd like here in terms of that. I'll just loop around, and then you go down to this other fence here, and you can go like past it, around, move around, as long as you make sure you have a route back to this fence. Though I wouldn't put too much stuff in here because that's where you're gonna need to feed them. Let me see if I can get that just all the way up to there. Nope, don't let me go all the way up there. Let me go one more. Why isn't it letting me complete it? Of course, now I'm finding an issue here. There we go. Oh, interesting. Yeah, we'll just do the default one. So I've had some issues with it sometimes, but I actually haven't had that specific issue before. But anyhow, we do want to plant meadow. I'll show you why in a second. Hit plant meadow. If you don't hit plant meadow, it'll look like this. If we plant, let's just do this barn over here. I'll do the barn just right here. If we do the barn here, I'm not going to do custom fence. Actually, well, let's get out of that. Let's delete this one real quick. I would like to build a successful fence for you guys so you guys can see it is possible. I've never had that issue where it wouldn't let me complete it. So if we do custom fence here, let's make this thing pretty big since it's kind of out of the way. And then we can loop back around to this little green point right here. There we go. Yeah, so that one let me do it. No big deal. And then I'm not going to plant meadow for this one. So if you don't plant meadow, whatever's on the ground, it's going to leave that as it is. And also, if you want to have the animals be able to graze, you need to make sure you plant meadow. So that's the importance there. Okay, so now we have that. The one thing I want to note too is this one we know is supposed to hold 19, right? This pasture. So it's the standard size. So it's going to hold 23. The game's broken. Here we go. So 19. It's supposed to only hold 19 in that standard size. If it's more than that, it could be because I started trying to make a fence and then I stopped. But the main point is you can make it so they hold more than they're supposed to. This one's only supposed to hold 26, but can hold 69 now because of how big it is. So yeah, you can do that if you'd like to. Just know that there's some different aspects to that. And again, they're still fixing things, so some stuff like that will probably be a little bit easier to use in the future. But anyhow, So this one too, I should also note, when you come up here, now there is meadow here, or not up to there, sorry, let me go into the actual menu here. If I go over to this one that has the meadow, this one's not going to have anything, or this one's not going to have anything in it ever because we didn't put a meadow in it. But the one that we did put the meadow in, it shows 0% right now, or 0 liters. The big thing about that is you have to wait until midnight and then the meadow will populate, which I'll show you guys that in a second. But let's talk about getting the animals here. So there's 2 ways to do it. One is super easy. I'm going to do it over, not on this one, but over on this pen. If I just walk up here and I hit R, I can choose what I want to buy. And you can see we have sheep, 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 and then goats are at the very bottom. So if I wanted to buy these guys, sure, I'll just buy 60. You can buy them in increments of up to 250, depending on how big your pen is. You can make a pen that's super big that holds thousands of goats, though I would probably not recommend that, and I'll explain that later. All right, so there we go. Bunch of goats in there. That's awesome. They're on concrete, the poor things. So that's one way to do it, and then you also can sell them that way, but we'll talk about that later. The other way is to transport them in an animal trailer. So if we go to wherever the animal dealer is on the map, which for this map in particular, which is Hutan Pantai, it's up here. So if I go up there and I just visit that place, there is a little icon here, which is where I want to drive over with my animal trailer to purchase animals. So I already have this guy pre-placed up here. If I drive over top of this and hit R, it'll open up the menu. I can go from cows to pigs and then sheep and goats. So those are the ones that we can buy right now. This trailer doesn't hold horses. That's why they're not in here. And you don't buy chickens here. So what I want to buy is I want to buy some goats. So let's say I want to buy, I don't know, 10 goats here. Perfect. Easy peasy. Hit buy. Yes. Now the difference between doing it this way and doing it at the farm is here you're not going to pay a fee to transport them. But if I go back over to the farm, if I was to buy or put a goat in this way, let me go up to it here. I'm going to pay a fee to have them delivered, and that changes. The more goats, the more fees. So that's why the benefit is to transport them. However, it is a little bit of a it is a little tricky and takes a little bit more time. You have to also have the correct equipment, which this stuff is not cheap. So just be aware of that. And you can buy these guys in the store. If we go down to animal stuff down here at the very bottom, where is it at? Right here. Animal transport. This one only does horses. These one will do all the different animals. Now I also note it says 13 sheep on here and 38 sheep on here. That also applies to goats, just like the pastures are for goats and sheep. That also applies to animal transport. But if I want to put them in the pasture now, I already have some pre-placed in this truck here, so I didn't have to drive over here. I'm going to put these guys in, so you can see in, out. You can also pull them out. There's no animals to move out right now, though. So if I put these guys in, move to husbandry, perfect. Now I can get goats out if I want to, and then it'll say there's no animals to move in. So anyhow, there we go. I've now put my goats into there. So let's get this truck out of our way. And then we're going to move on to kind of the next thing, which is caring for the animals. Probably the most important part. So goats are actually really easy to care for, just as sheep are. And it's pretty much the same steps for sheep and goats. So if we go into the menu, go into the animals here, they have very easy things that you have to do for them. So we want to get their health up and we want to get their productivity up, because if their productivity and their health is up, they'll start reproducing and they'll start producing goat's milk, which we'll talk about in a second. So for this one in the pasture, first off, we need to provide them with water because they're in the pasture. So you do have a water fill point here, so we can provide them with water, which is pretty easy. I have a little water tanker set up here, which you can buy multiple different types of water tankers in the store. The benefit to the barn is I don't have to provide them water ever, because the barn will have a hookup. So essentially it simulates that you have a hookup for water in the barn and you never have to provide it. But you'll want to drive over this, and you can see that it kind of glitched out a little bit. I think it got tricked by my trying to build a custom pasture on this one. But I can hit I to unload, get some water in there. You can see some water in there in my grassy, weird animal trough there. And then we can move this guy out of the way. So we don't have to worry about water for the other one. And it will bill you for it, but it's not too expensive. And honestly, the convenience is quite nice. So yeah, so now we got water here. And then for the sheep barn, you can see there's no water required there. So that's great. Now we need to feed them. So down here, we have total capacity and effectiveness. This is how much total food you put in, which this one's kind of odd to have this actually here, because if you fill up the grass, it'll go into that total capacity and effectiveness. And that's really the only one that's going to go into there. I don't know if the meadow actually should go into there too, but the meadow doesn't count towards your overall capacity, which is kind of interesting. And I'll kind of talk about that a little bit more. But this grass category will take hay as well, so don't be fooled by that. It doesn't have to be grass. Grass or hay can go in there, and it'll be 100% effective. And if they have a meadow to graze in, that will be 100% effective. There is some issues right now where the meadows don't seem to grow back. you can delete the pen and replace it over the same area without having to buy a meadow, and it'll put more grass in there. But there does seem to be a little bit of an issue with that. So I'm going to go ahead and move to the next day, only because I want to show you guys the meadow compared to non-meadow. All right, so it is the next day now. If I go on the menu here, you can see that they have meadow, and they've already eaten a little bit of it, and they're doing great. So yeah, our productivity is at 89%. It's still going up. If I skip forward another hour here, if I just move a little bit, you'll see that still go up. It'll keep going up till it hits health 90%, or excuse me, health 100% and productivity 100%. So those are both about to go up again. And if we hop to the menu, you can see 100% now 99, and that'll go up just that last percent over the next hour, which is great. Now, obviously, our other ones are not doing anything because there's no food in there. The goats won't die or anything if you don't feed them. They just aren't going to produce. So you want to make sure you're feeding them if you want to produce something, but they're not going to die. Now, if you do want to feed them, you can take any vehicle here that has like hay or grass capacity in the back. And I'm not going to talk about how to make hay or grass today. It'll be in a separate video. But if you did want to buy some, you can actually buy some in the store. If I go down to the very bottom, there are bales. You can buy round bales of hay. You can't, I guess, technically buy grass, but you can feed them this hay if you want. This will be pretty expensive compared to you making it yourself, though. So for this pen, if I wanted to feed them this hay, oops, I need to drive over this icon right here and hit I to unload. And it'll give them some hay to eat, and it's hitting that roof. That's why it's glitching out a little bit, which is an issue we have sometimes with animal pens. There we go. Now I'm at a little bit better angle for that. Now, they're all full. Now, can I also still, even though there's meadow in here, I can put some food in here if I want to as well, since there's still room here for some food right here. So it'll still be the same capacity. Let that unload. Perfect. It's going to be full too as well. So the one thing I'll note as well when we talk about food here is a couple other kind of caveats to it. So here at the sheep pasture, since I put this grass in, they will eat this, well, the hay technically, but they will eat all of this before they touch the meadow again. The meadow will remain the same. Over time, they will eat this, and then they'll go back to the meadow. So if there's anything above the meadow, they'll eat that first. These guys over here only have this, so they're going to eat that regardless. And I will say this capacity of 4,500 does not change. So for example, this barn can have up to 69 goats in it, as we know. If we made it super huge and it held 2,000 goats, it would only hold 4,500 liters of food. So you'd have to literally fill it up every hour, and it would be very obnoxious. So that's one thing I'd say is kind of a downside to it. And also, straw bedding is not required for goats. You can't provide them with bedding. And in terms of waste products, they don't make any, which I know is obviously not maybe true to real life, but you don't have to worry about slurry or manure for these guys. So no worries there in terms of that. Now, let's talk about kind of how we make money off the goats and why we might raise them. We get goat's milk, which we have a pallet right here. It does spawn in pallets on the side. So here we have a pallet you can see down there. It says 53 liters in it right now. We might want to wait for it to fill up before we actually start doing it. But since the productivity is high, we're now producing goat's milk, which is great. And that's the raw goat's milk. There's also a bottled goat's milk, which you can bottle it up if you want to sell it. And you also can make goat cheese. And both those are made at the dairy if you wanted to earn a little extra money. I'm not going to talk about how to use the dairy. That'll be a separate video because there's a little bit more to that than just with the goats. But that is another way to make money. What you can do to sell this off, let's go in the store and talk about a few things here. Not that store, this store. So first off, in terms of feeding them hay and something like that, any bulk trailer will hold those products. So if we come up here, any one of these is going to have the hay icon right there. It's that, well, wait for it to slow down here. That icon right there is the hay icon or the grass icon. They'll both be able to haul that stuff around pretty easily. Now, if you do want to move these pallets, you're not going to be able to lift them by hand, so you're probably going to have to use like a forklift to lift them onto a trailer, or you can use like a front loader and then use a front loader attachment to your vehicle. But if you buy a front loader or something, and then you get yourself some pallet forks, you can do that. But that's the only kind of pain to it, is you have to be able to move those around. You can do that. I mean, there's tons of ways to move stuff. Wheel loader with pallet forks will work just fine. That's pretty expensive though. Telehandler with pallet forks will work. But skid steer with pallet forks will work. And then you need some sort of like flatbed trailer. So like this guy would be perfect for loading pallets of goat milk on, and then you can strap them down on here, and then you can transport them and sell them. So where do you sell them? If we go into the menu, if we go down to sell prices here, we can scroll down to goat milk. So here's goat milk, not goat milk bottled. We don't have that. We have the regular goat milk. So goat milk bottled down there, goat milk here. So goat milk, we can sell it. There's only one place it takes it, which is the dairy right now. So if we took it over there, we'd be able to sell it off. That's the price we're going to get per 1,000 liters. So if you have 1,000 liters of goat's milk, you get $5,102. Though right now it's April and the price is on the way down, you might want to wait till January when the price is the highest, and that's how you can tell down here. So yeah, that's how you can tell where you can sell your milk off and do all that. Now the other way to kind of make money off of goats and animals in general is off of their reproduction. So if we go back into the animals here, these ones that are doing really good right now, they will now start reproducing. I don't know how quick it is, so actually while I'm talking about them reproducing, let's go ahead and skip forward a day here. That way we can see how many months it takes them to reproduce, because I actually don't know the answer to that. Let's go to just 7 a.m. tomorrow. So yeah, you can sell them off. So you can bring them back to the animal dealer with that same trailer. So just do that step I showed you guys at the beginning of the video with transporting animals. You can do that in reverse to sell them off at the animal dealer. That's the best way, because you don't have to pay that transport fee. If you don't do it that way, you do still have to pay a transport fee if you're going to sell them off directly from the pen. But if I go here and I wanted to sell one off, I can just click here and I can sell one off, and it'll tell me what I'm going to get. It's $550 minus $50 fee to get $500. So that's another way to do that as well. Now, if we look in here at their reproduction, 20%. So it'll take them 5 months to reproduce. If you have 10 in here that are, doing great and getting ready to reproduce, well, that means when that 5 months is up, you're going to get 10 new goats in here. If there's not room for the goats in the pen, which, how much does this one hold? 23, you'd be fine for the first round. But if there's not room in the pen for the goats to reproduce, it'll just fill the pen, or you won't get any goats. So, for example, if we had, let's say we had 20 goats in here. If all 20 of those goats reproduce, there's only 3 extra spots. So you get 3 new goats, but then the other ones you wouldn't get anything from. So just be aware of that. That's how the goats are going to work for you. But there you go. That is pretty much everything on how to care for goats in Farming Simulator 25. I hope this was helpful for you guys. If it was, please drop a like down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button up on the screen to join the Farmer Cop channel and turn your notification bell so you don't miss any future videos I may post. This has been Farmer Cop. Thank you guys for coming and for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.